The following program is sponsored by Mott Community College, FlintNarrative.org, and Soul Intentions Life Coaching, LLC. You're listening to Innovative Health Radio on SuperTalk 1570. The ladies' dish on everything from veterans, preventative and holistic medicine to innovative technologies, youth, and education. Listen in as local experts provide you with the education and resources to inform, entertain, and heal the community, one Sunday at a time.
Good morning. Welcome to Innovative Health Radio. I'm your host, Kristen Willis-Anovich, and I'm here with two beautiful co-hosts, Christy Marshall.
Hello.
Soul Intentions Life Coaching.
Yes.
I want to talk a little bit about that because there's a lot of things we're going through.
Yeah, for sure.
And I will tell you, we've got a great guest coming on, Dr. Natalie Candela,
Can't wait.
she does awakened hypnosis. So it's going to be a real big tie-in to what you do and what she does.
Yeah, awesome.
And then the beautiful Susan Alderson. Hello, my darling.
Hello.
I was thinking about you the other day because my forehead is moving so much. I'm like, my goodness, I need to get in for Botox. But one thing that was kind of funny, so you know how you gave me some Botox around my mouth, right? It was so hard for me to like pronounce some B's and some.
Was it?
Yes. So it was funny because I'd be on air or I'd be talking to people, and then I would say, "I'm sorry, I just had Botox around my mouth," and they're like, "What?"
Yeah.
That's weird. You're weird. It's weird.
But look how the corners of your mouth are turning
so
up.
good.
It's so
I
nice
know.
there.
I really like it. So thank you. So
You're welcome.
I'm in for more. I can't wait. So let's talk a little bit. Fountain of Youth, you've been busy, haven't you?
We have been busy.
Is summer a busy time for you?
Usually summer's slow.
Right.
June was pretty slow, but after that, and my other nurses have taken a lot of time off, so I've done a lot more injections.
So you've
I've
been
been working
there.
like crazy.
So you've been personally very busy.
Yes.
In addition to your business, yeah.
I sent someone your way just the other day. She said, looking for a new girl. I said, call Susan Alderson.
Good.
And then I said, call Fountain of Youth. And she said, is there someone specific? And I always say you, but everyone's great,
Right.
because everybody slams. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter who you
Yeah,
get.
the other nurses are excellent.
So it's good. Well, good. And one thing, too, our publisher, Innovative Health publisher, Karen Smith, has been getting her tattoo removed.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
yes.
that's right.
So that's going really well.
Yeah.
That tattoo removal
She's
is
getting
pretty
it removed,
powerful.
and I want to get one. So
Are you going to get a
interesting.
tattoo?
I think I am. I've been talking about it for a while, and now that I'm 50, I'm like, why not?
You're going to get 50?
No, not going to get 50
On your arm.
No,
with a heart.
Just now that I am 50, I'm like, maybe I'll do it.
I love that kind of, doing some, unruly
Rebel stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's unruly.
Yeah.
I
And
love
if you
it.
don't like it, we can take it off.
That's what I'm saying. Well, I did hear about this thing, and I mean, I don't know if you've heard of it or not, but it's called Conscious Ink, and it only stays on for a year.
Oh.
So I'm actually going to look into that a little bit.
Why don't we do the 4-leaf clover?
I know. That's been the one that I've been wanting to do for a very long time, being an Irish girl.
Twins.
Yes.
Hashtag
Twinsies.
twins. Though I will tell you, Susan, on our last podcast, I brought her into my circle. I aligned her with something. She's like, I'm not in that group. Not in your group.
I don't have a problem speaking up anymore. My throat doesn't get as sore close up anymore.
Now she's like, no,
no,
whatever
that's-
Kristen just said, I'm not a part of that. So I don't know if she's going to get that 4-leaf clover. She'll be like, whatever.
I better watch that podcast.
Hey, and I do have to tell you, big shout out to Innovative Health magazine. Innovative Health and Fountain of Youth made our magazine, The Who's Who.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
I have the magazine in the
ha.
car. We did.
Nice.
We'll get a picture of that, right?
I always see those in the Hour magazine, and I always read to see who was at what, to see
Who's
if I
who,
know anybody.
right? And then
I
you
opened
were.
up, and there we were.
Did you know ahead of time?
Well, they were there taking our pictures,
Okay.
but they take a lot of pictures, and usually we're not
50-50.
lucky enough who they pick out who they want to pick. So we made it to the big time.
Wow.
Well, they know-
Congratulations.
They know beauty
Yeah,
and
heck
brains
yeah,
when
they
they
do.
see it. They know
yeah.
who's who
Yeah.
in Birmingham, Michigan.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to work on being the life coach at Who's Who.
You listen. Okay, so
That's
let's
my
talk.
goal, people.
So today,
No.
yeah, we got some great guests. We've got Aaron Schaefer coming on, and he's going to talk about family heritage insurance, which is this really beautiful supplemental insurance that can also be used as an investment tool. And then we have John Ryder. He's going to talk about the Michigan Heroes Museum. And then, of course, Dr. Natalie Candela, who is a hypnotherapist. And I can't even make
Certified hypnotherapist.
She's a PhD.
And
She's
a
a doctor. So we were laughing off air. Like, I'm afraid to make eye contact with her because I'm afraid she's going to put some Jedi mind tricks on
Yeah,
me.
she can't do that without your permission.
Well, that's what I'm talking about with you, Christy Marshall. You know, you are a certified life coach. And like you said, anything that you do or talk to anybody about, you know, they have to want it, right? They
That's
are kind
right.
of have
There's
to be
gotta
open.
be a willingness and an openness to the whole process.
Right, exactly. And when we talk about innovative health and our core values, you know, all three of them represent what innovative health is about. And it's talking about our military,
synergy.
our veterans, family heritage insurance, it's financial fitness, it's prevention. And obviously, the hypnosis is mind, body, soul, right? And we've been seeing
Mental awareness, mental fitness. Yeah.
we have been seeing lately, just you go into social media or you go, I mean, even on a personal level, it's been kind of a crazy 2 weeks for me. And it's just, how do you balance this, right? How do you balance the craziness that is life, that is kids, that is stress? It affects you physically.
Yeah, and you know, I always, even from my mentors, you know, the concept of balance is kind of elusive. And when I work with my clients about balance, it's really what I kind of shift that thinking to is, what are the priorities? You know, what are your priorities? Where do you align with things in your life? And that is really where you're going to discover that balance. Because when we know what our priorities are and we know where we align with things, we can say, okay, this is important. I know that I need to do this today, or I know I need to focus on this. And tomorrow I can do this, you know, and those kind of things are what are going to give you that balance.
That's exactly right. Do you agree with that, Susan?
I do, and I find for myself that the biggest problem I've had is not being organized. And I'm really working hard now to get organized at home and at work, because when you just live in chaos all the time, you can't find this, and you're shoving this
That's right.
paper from here to here, and you can't find this phone number. So I'm working really hard just to get certain things in more of a system, and that takes a lot of stress away.
Yeah,
It does.
and that's so true, because it's not only decluttering your space, it's decluttering your mind.
That's
too.
right.
And so in order to do, and you know, so having that organization is really key, and finding the best ways that work for you. Now, and something that works for Kristen may not work for you.
Right.
So it is an individual process in figuring out, okay, what do I want how do I want to organize this that it best suits me? And it's really learning your process. It's really learning how you operate.
Well, and I think too, part of becoming organized or becoming systematic and getting kind of control of your life and owning it is also including slowing down, being mindful.
Always. This is one thing that I definitely work with my clients on, is like, practice the pause. Just step back for a minute. Sometimes that's the hugest thing that we can do for ourselves, is to take a step back, take a deep breath, and sit in stillness.
Right.
Because a lot of times our answers, our peace is going to come right from that. From those two simple things, you know, and then being mindful to your day, you know, being mindful to the day in that you're focused in on what you're doing at that very moment. You're not thinking 6 steps ahead, what has to be done in 3 hours. You're thinking about now. You're thinking about, what is it that I need to accomplish at this moment, or I want to accomplish at this moment. And you're right in that moment.
Right.
And that is such a huge, huge benefit.
I agree with that. Do you agree with that? And it's hard because you're Susan, you're busy. You have a busy schedule. But what I think you do is you'll take time to travel and take time to breathe and get down to your house in Florida and kind of have a different environment.
Recharge and renew, right? Yeah.
And I work double when I get back.
Right.
After, but
Right.
You do, but that's the time that you take for yourself.
I sat last night, and it was a crazy thing, but I had all these texts in my phone just text numbers, and I'm always scanning and taking time to look for things. Finally, I sat last night. It took me about an hour, and I put names
To the
with
numbers.
all of these, and I felt such a relief and accomplishment after I got those done. I'm like, wow, I can now just pop this and find it instead of, okay, which 248
Right.
number was that? And
Right.
then I have to look at the old text to find out who does it go to.
And it's just taking time for those even simple tasks
Right.
to just get it done. Things that we push to
Push
the
off
side.
and push off.
Right.
Well, it's funny because there's been, for a while there was, everybody's got to multitask, and you're so strong and, great if you can do this. Well, there's so many studies now that say, don't multitask.
It's bad.
It's bad.
It's bad.
Yeah. And that's why I'm saying it's going back to that mindfulness and being in that moment and focusing really in on what has to occur then at that time
That's right.
without getting too sidetracked.
When you get overwhelmed,
Yes.
you are doing a poor job.
Yeah, you
With
might
everything
be
you're
doing 20
handling.
things, but you're doing 23 things without any real focus to
That's
them.
right. That's
So
right.
How in the end, what's the real result?
So, Christy Marshall, Soul Intentions Life Coach, how can people get a hold of you?
They can visit me at www.christymarshall.com. They can visit me on Facebook, Soul Intentions Life Coaching, Christy Malone Marshall, and they can call me at 810-964-4427.
And I will tell you, life coaching changes your life. You call someone like Christy, you set up an appointment, right? The first appointment's
First one
free.
is complimentary.
Perfect.
Yep, it's just a discovery session to see if the work together is going to be beneficial to both.
And she will change your world. I promise you. And Fountain of Youth, Susan Alderson, website, real quickly.
www.fountainofyouth-mi.com.
And your phone number?
810-632-6123.
Excellent. I love you both. And
Thank you.
You're with us all day, Susan Alderson. So we're really excited. So please, listeners, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we have Aaron Schaefer. He's going to talk to us about family heritage insurance. His story is really compelling. I know you're thinking insurance, but I will tell you, this is really something exciting, and it's an outlier insurance. So don't miss it. So listeners, you are listening to Innovative Health Radio, SuperTalk 1570, right here in our Flint studios. Flint, baby, Genesee County. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Innovative Health Radio. I'm your host, Kristen Willisonovich, here with my beautiful co-host, Christine Marshall, and our beautiful guest co-host, Susan Alderson. Thank you, ladies, so much for being here.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So it's that special time when we have a really handsome male in the hot seat. We get really excited. Well, besides Rusty, who's here all the time with us.
I never count.
But listen, without further ado, Aaron Schaefer, Family Heritage Insurance. Welcome to the studio.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem. No problem. Spilling my coffee all over you guys.
I was going to say, good catch right
We've
there.
all had
Great
those mornings, I'm pretty
catch.
sure.
Right? Great catch. Welcome to the show. Listen, you're here to talk a little bit about family heritage insurance, which is really, you think of insurance and it's a supplemental insurance, correct?
Correct.
Similar to like that of Aflac. But honest to goodness, when you and I discussed the business model, it kind of blows all these other supplement insurance out the water. Seriously. So I can't wait to get into that. But a little bit on your backstory. Tell me a little bit how you got involved and a little bit about your history.
Yeah, it's kind of unique. If you'd have told me even just 5 years ago that'd be in the insurance industry, I would have laughed. Believe it or not, I didn't grow up as a little boy dreaming of being a supplemental insurance salesperson.
Right.
And
That's hot. It's hot.
I was gonna say I immediately at 6 years old. No,
Fireman, astronaut, insurance.
Yeah,
Which one?
it was number 3 on the list, but
Right.
it wasn't number 1. So,
Right.
But no, I actually I was a customer of Family Heritage before I was ever an agent. I didn't even really fully understand what supplemental insurance was for. I saw the duck on TV, but I never really knew. It was like, okay, if I miss work. But then my dad actually went through a brain cancer battle. He beat it, thankfully. But it was a pretty tough 2-year battle, and it really got my brain churning as I watched him, unable to work or to do a whole lot for 2 years. And I had a family with young kids, and it's like, man, if I couldn't work for 2 years, we'd be in trouble. We'd lose our house. We'd lose everything we worked for. And so my family, we actually took out a cancer insurance policy from Family Heritage. This was about 5 years ago. Never dreaming dreaming I would ever be selling the product. And it was just 8 months later that my daughter Sophie was actually born with a rare form of childhood cancer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she beat it also. She's 4.5. She's a little rock star.
Thank
She
God.
is.
I have goosebumps.
Yeah, it was a wild ride. I mean, she it looked like a birthmark originally behind her ear, and over the first 2 months it had grown to the point where it was poking outside. It spread into her parotid gland, and we were hospitalized 13 days while they tried to figure out what the heck is this thing. And our family heritage policy really kept us afloat. You know, they paid us $18,000 while we were going through everything, and it helped with our co-pays, with the time off work I had to take. And I always tell people at this point, you know, you never really appreciate any of your insurance, whether it's something like supplemental or your car insurance, home. You never appreciate it until you actually need it.
Exactly.
Right.
And
it's a burden,
yeah,
right? You're
yeah.
like,
every month you pay it.
Yeah,
and
it's
you're like,
just
one
one of those bills you hate right now, right?
And then when you need it, you're like, oh, thank God that this is in place. And so now I tell people I'm a cancer insurance evangelist because it's so darn common nowadays, and so many families are impacted by it.
oh,
and
it's
yet,
so weird. I
absolutely
know.
the truth.
You're
Yeah.
seeing it more and more, aren't
Well,
you?
and I love he's going from the customer to the employee, right? So, and people say your best employees are your previous customers.
That's
Yeah.
exactly
Which is so
right.
true.
Well, I mean, you and I,
Testimony.
Susan, too, you had this conversation. Like, you went in just for a physical, and they're like, do you want this shot, flu shot? And she has beautiful coverage. She's got like Blue Cross Blue Shield, and she's got a secondary, and you still had to come out of pocket like $400.
Yeah, it's
did,
crazy.
But my husband, he was, he got pancreatic cancer about 4.5 years ago. And he has very good coverage, had a very good job. But we had Aflac at the time. And thank goodness, because we ended up getting about $10,000. And it was enough really to pay all the co-pays and things that the insurance still didn't pay. It was huge.
Well,
Yeah.
it was good.
Yeah.
Even for that, even when I had to go get that breast biopsy, I had to come out of pocket for that by like $500.
Well, that's why why Family Heritage Insurance,
Yeah.
I mean, while they'll come in and cover, but there's also a beautiful aspect of it, because if you don't go through something traumatic like that, what happens, Aaron?
Yeah, well, we do 100% return of premium on all of our policies.
Right?
And so it's,
my eyes just got huge.
I told
That's
you.
crazy.
Wait a second. It's a 25-year policy. So at the end of 25 years, hopefully you've been healthy. Hopefully you've never gone through cancer. And
Isn't
then
it crazy?
Yeah.
then it's
So-
just you get 100% of the back. You can roll it into a retirement fund, take the vacation Europe you always want to
That's
take. And,
awesome.
and God forbid anyone passes away, then we still return all the premiums to a beneficiary.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So what are your typical fees? Like what I mean, I
You
know
know,
they can probably range.
yeah,
that's probably like
that's-
asking, hey, you go into a car dealership. Tell me a price of a
Yeah,
car,
yeah.
right?
How much is a car?
How much is that? Are the blue ones?
Exactly. So clearly, if you're covering just an individual and their
Right.
28-year-old is going to be a lot different than
Than
covering
a
an entire
family,
family of
yeah.
5, and where the parents are in
Right.
their 50s. So it's all based on age and then how many we're covering, but it's extremely affordable. Most people are able to get into coverage for $1 or $2 a day. So typically, folks are spending more than that at
How do you
gas
deal
station on
with
snacks.
how do you deal with like pre-existing conditions and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. So if someone had been diagnosed with cancer in the past, for our cancer policy, they would have to be 10 years cancer-free before they'd be able to get a cancer policy. And but yeah, other than that, it's just kind of some simple health questions. And if someone's not been diagnosed in the past, then we're able to get them covered typically.
Okay. All right. But this is definitely not an insurance that you would say this is your primary insurance.
No,
This is just
definitely
supplemental,
not.
right?
Absolutely.
But-
this is not designed to cover the doctor bills. It's designed to cover that
The
year and a half that you're
extreme-
missing work.
right.
It's designed to cover
Kind of those different
co-pays,
circumstances
the
that-
travel expenses, all these things that, because people, you see a GoFundMe page, right? And I think a lot of people assume it's the medical bills that was sinking the
Right.
family. Usually that's not the case. It's usually not the medical bills. That's
the
the big part of
day-to-day.
it. It's the day-to-day. It's
Right.
the fact
It's
you're not working
day-to-day.
for a year and a half.
Right.
And you usually don't think about that till you're going through it. And I think the hard
right.
part with cancer is that it never feels like it's going to be your family. You see the stats and you can see how many families are impacted,
Yeah.
but it always feels like it's going to be
My
the one
brother
next door.
he's just, thank God, now they're saying in remission from B-cell lymphoma.
Oh, congratulations.
But that
Man,
was,
that's-
he's got his last treatment actually on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
Well, and also, too, you can look at it from that perspective, but in talking to one of your colleagues, Rusty Mandel, you can look at it as an investment,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And-
right. Like what he was saying is 25 years down the road, if you haven't touched it, you've got this extra money.
Well, we had been one of the core values now of Innovative Health. It's always like prevention, living your best life. It's like youth and education, our veterans, catastrophically injured, mental health. But one thing we've added to our core value is financial fitness.
Yes.
Yeah.
And growing up, I remember like generations, maybe 60s, 70s, even into the 80s, a part of like growing up, they learned a lot of about finances, writing a checkbook. We don't have that anymore for our kids. They don't get that, right?
Well, there are some schools that still do that, but it's few and far between.
That's
for
right.
Sure.
But one thing I remember, even when I was young, is insurance companies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They bought policies because that was part of the investment process.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
I think it's really important to probably bring that back. And granted, it'll definitely help you in some catastrophic manner, but it's also a beautiful investment opportunity.
I wonder, so could this supplemental also include any kind of mental health issues
So
that come
we
into
don't
play?
have anything
Okay.
that goes. So the policies that we sell, we have cancer, we have a heart attack and stroke policy,
Okay.
and then we also have an accidental injury policy.
Okay.
We have a lot of
Gotcha.
very blue collar workers that say, hey, if I broke my leg playing softball on the weekend, I'm not
Right.
at work for 2 months, and there's no
Right.
income coming in.
Right.
And so we have a really good policy for those as well.
Okay. Because I know, mental health is such a huge issue right now.
Absolutely.
And there are people that
Sorry,
miss
Rusty.
work.
No mental health supplement
That miss work.
for you and me.
I'm always so left out.
But no, there are a lot of people that miss work because of that.
Sure,
And
absolutely.
so that was what my curiosity was going to, because I do work with people that have that. So
Yeah, and that's the thing I recommend to folks in general. When we sit down with potential clients, I always want to sit down with them and see what are their needs, what is the thing that for them is first and foremost on their mind. And then in some cases, we're able to serve them really, really well. And in some cases, I might be able to refer them elsewhere to a
Right.
person that could potentially fill their needs better, depending on what their concerns are. And with cancer being such a top of mind thing for so many families,
Right,
then
right.
a pretty high percentage of folks see the need right away.
I think
absolutely.
that
Go ahead.
illness is one of the number one reasons that people file bankruptcy from illness.
yeah.
It's actually a startling percentage when you see the stats of what
Yeah.
percent of bankruptcies are medical.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's the number one.
Yeah.
So this is why it's so important to talk about that. And it's talk about preventative care, and it's talking about taking care of yourself. But sometimes, my goodness, some of the healthiest people
Are struck
in
down
the world.
with
Yes,
not-
that you
no
wouldn't even
expecting.
expect
Yep.
it. So something like family heritage insurance is just something so important to have. And it's not very pricey, is it?
No, it's extremely affordable. Yeah, we've got 4 different levels of coverage. So I've never sat down with someone that at the end said I couldn't afford any of those
Right,
levels. So it's
right.
going to fit in pretty much every family's budget.
Well, and I'll tell you too, like even talking to Rusty, he and I discussed getting it for our children because we start
Yeah.
it now and then it's an investment for them
That's right.
as well. So there's like all these kind of ancillary benefits you receive
Yeah,
from it.
That's right.
It really is.
She
one of the
doesn't mean
things.
me, Rusty. She means somebody else, Rusty.
Rusty
Yeah.
Mandel. Rusty
So
Mandel.
she doesn't like you that much, huh? She's
Oh,
not
right.
purchasing-
No, we
That's,
don't have kids
man,
together.
What a
She's
coworker.
not buying insurance from me.
Yeah, man, oh man, Kristen, you gotta
Too
work
high
on it.
risk.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's
I'm
one
the
of those things. you wish they told young people that there's never a better time in your life to buy insurance than in your 20s because you get locked in at an extremely affordable rate, and that's the rate you're paying the rest of your life in a lot of companies where they lock your rates in, which Family Heritage does.
Well, Aaron Schaefer, how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, probably the best way if you go to our website, our independent agency that works here throughout the Midwest is Foundation Business Group. And if you just go to foundationbusinessgroup.com, right there you can check out some of our products. There's some great videos on there, and there's a contact form on there, and someone will contact you back within a couple of hours. And if you wanted to reach out to us there, we'll have one of our local agents get a hold of you. And we have agents pretty much throughout the state of Michigan.
All over. How long have you been doing this?
So I've been here about 2.5 years.
Okay, very good. And
Yeah.
you love it. Prior to
I do.
insurance, what were you doing?
I worked with a company called Southwestern Advantage down in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh,
and,
okay.
I still lived here in Michigan. I worked with college and universities around the country. Worked with universities in about 19 states and interviewed students for summer internships and ran leadership development seminars on college campuses as well.
Wow, you're pretty fascinating. Well, excellent. Well, thank you so much. Family Heritage Insurance. One more time with that website.
FoundationBusinessGroup.com. That is our local agency.
Excellent. Thank you
Great.
so
Thank
much,
you.
Aaron Schaefer. So please, listeners, don't go anywhere because when we come back, we've got John Ryder from the Michigan Military Museum. I cannot wait to pick his brain for everything. So big thank you to Christy Marshall. Big thank you to beautiful Susan Alderson for being on the show. And a big thank you to you, Aaron Schaefer. You guys, seriously, get out there. Check it out. Family Heritage Insurance. So don't go anywhere, listeners. You are listening to Innovative Health Radio right here in our Flint studio, Genesee County, SuperTalk 1570. More with John Ryder coming up. Welcome back to Innovative Health Radio. I'm your host, Kristen Willis-Anovich, here with my beautiful co-host, Christy Marshall.
Hello.
And beautiful guest co-host, Susan Alderson.
Hello.
So we have a new stud in the hot seat, right? A new handsome
we got
man.
another gentleman
I know,
here today
right?
with us, yeah.
John Ryder. And I have a correction because I did call it Michigan Military Museum, but really it's Michigan Hero Museum, which I kind of dig better. I kind of
cool.
love it. So, John Ryder, welcome to Innovative Health Radio. And as you may or may not know, with Innovative Health, our veterans are one of our core values. So we are
Absolutely.
really honored to have you here because they truly are our forgotten heroes too, our
Absolutely.
veterans. So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So I'm the executive director at Michigan Military and Space Heroes Museum right now. Next month in September, the name's changed to the Michigan Heroes Museum. But what we do there, instead of telling the stories of the hardware of war or the battles of war, we tell the individual stories of over 850 Michigan residents.
Love that.
Wow.
I love that.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. So anything from you can find a Civil War story or two in there, or World War One. We're coming up on the end of the World War One conflict, the 100-year anniversary of that, and those type of stories are just amazing. What the men and women of our country have gone through, and we've also got stories that involve shell shock and PTSD and all that type of stuff as well. Very unfortunate,
Yeah.
It's-
well,
go ahead.
it's a nice opportunity really to share, the individual's experience and what they've gone through, come through, where they are. I mean, how awesome is that to kind of have that journey
Absolutely
displayed?
And so we take like a snapshot in time. It's mainly about their military service, but people want to know, well, what are they doing today,
now?
or what did they do near the end of their life, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so we do include some of that also, but we try to focus mainly on the military service because that is what people are coming there to see.
Yeah.
But we've got some just amazing stories about amazing individuals, and just because they served, like I tell people, the individuals that serve us, they don't go into the service expecting to do what we ask them to do as a country, and even if they are expecting that, they aren't prepared for it.
No, never. I don't think they ever could be prepared for what
and
they
that's
enter
why
into.
I like that you're spotlighting that because people don't know people that are outside of it
We have
don't
no
know
idea.
the stories that
We have
that
no
they
idea.
have to deal with, the things that they have to encounter in battle, and
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've got a story of a gentleman, World War One, the only Michigan Medal of Honor recipient from World War One, Harold Furlong. Harold, in World War One, he took command of his unit because the commander fell, and he single-handedly secured a battlefield by taking out some of the machine gunners, and he spent the rest of his life trying to make up for the taking of those four lives. He ended up becoming, down in Pontiac, Michigan, he became a doctor. He delivered over 1,000 babies in a lifetime.
wow, I
And-
just got goosebumps.
It makes me cry. I
And-
know.
And when he asked us to tell his story for him, he said, I want you to, every time you tell this story, let people know that I want to be remembered for bringing life into the world rather than taking it out.
I know.
See, these individuals, we ask them to do things that
They would
Can't
never
even
do.
imagine.
Right, exactly.
They
Can't
become
even
trained
imagine.
killers,
Yeah.
and they're not. They weren't designed like
and
that.
and not all of them.
But-
but what for those that do that for us, we just want to make sure that people know that we
honor them.
love and support them and honor them.
Yeah.
And it's not only those stories. We also have stories about people on board ship and people that have, I've got a cook story in there. In fact, one of my favorite individuals that I ever talked to was a Navy cook, and he said that he was happiest, probably the happiest man in the Army because he never lost a man as a cook. He loved
Isn't that?
Thank God, no food poisoning.
Right.
exactly.
Right. And I will tell you, you talk to these veterans that go into that and come out, and then they have to come into becoming a civilian. And that transition itself is very taxing and takes years and years and years.
Especially when you've seen such hardship and,
That's right.
and loss and right.
That's right. So what a tribute to them, and especially adding the heroes, because it's so true. They're all heroes, and I don't think we understand the sacrifice, not just them, but their families,
Yes.
that make for our country. So it's
right.
pretty special. What a great job. You must love it.
It's the best job in the world.
And you probably get to meet fascinating people. And what I love, too, is that you go way back in history and how beautiful. Like, that's something that's so important for us to study history, so we know how to move forward and how to progress.
Can't move forward unless you understand the
Exactly.
past, right?
That's right. So why the new name change, just out of curiosity?
So people could never get the name right. It was too wordy, and people either thought we were only military museum or only space museum or whatever. And so Michigan Heroes Museum says a lot, right? Because we talk about the military individuals, we talk about our astronauts from the state of Michigan, but we can also, in our programming and everything, talk about everyday heroes and
Love
such
it.
too. So
I love it. So you're not limiting yourself to what a
Absolutely.
hero is and what they look like.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great.
So when you're looking at the heroes and our veterans, do you rotate out stories? How does that work?
Yeah, I've got 130 to 140 stories at any given time out on display, and we do rotate them through. Usually a family will come and say, hey, I'd like to see Grandma's stuff. I'll be there in 2 weeks, or Uncle Joe's stuff, or whatever. And we'll make sure we get that out for them. But even if that's not the case, we change those displays often enough that somebody could come in every couple months and see a whole new set of stories.
That's
So
great. Now, where is it
we're
located?
We're located in Frankenmuth, just
Okay.
north of of Bronner's on Weiss Street, so
Okay.
1250 Weiss Street.
Great.
So when you're out Christmas shopping, Susan,
That's right.
when
Make
we
sure to
all
stop
hit,
by.
or we are going to, for some chicken.
Yep.
we
Runners
are
and Zenders. Then we're going to Michigan Heroes. That's right.
museum, because it's pretty special and it's very important. And I think it's important to take your kids.
Right.
I think it's so important to teach them the sacrifices and how important our veterans are, and just kind of so that they can have tangibles and see it and read it, because it's men and women, everyone all across Michigan, mostly Michigan based, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. So everybody in the museum has spent some time in Michigan, whether they're born here, whether they moved here after their service, maybe they only left Michigan to serve. But everybody's has a tie to Michigan, and they're amazing stories. We have astronauts from the state of Michigan, like I mentioned. Also, we have the largest collection of named medals of honor anywhere
Wow.
in the world on
Wow.
public display. And who would have thought in Frankenmuth, Michigan, you have
Right.
something like that, right? But these stories that we have are just amazing. And whether you served, or your dad served, or somebody that served, you can find a story in there that's going to sound so much like what you had heard in the past.
That's great.
It's going to bring back some memories.
So what is the admission to get in?
So it's a floating scale, but the highest that the price is $7 for an adult,
Wow.
and $6 for a senior, and then children are $3.
Okay. Great. So very affordable.
What about AARP?
Yeah, right.
What about the elderly?
No, I think you need to put. I just got an AARP thing in the mail the other day,
Did you?
so I guess that's I'm there.
Well, so I mean, not to get off tangent, but I went to a restaurant, and she said, and my daughter worked there, and she's 21. She said, was a new bartender, and she said, I need to see your ID. I said, well, my daughter works here. She's 21. So how old do
Right.
you think that I am? And then she said, well, I just need to see if your driver's license expired. Oh, thank you. Are you Secretary of State? Thank you.
They have new
For that friendly
they have new
reminder.
requirements for
Do you need
servers
my
now.
license plate tabs? I mean, what do you need? Isn't that so
funny.
funny?
too
I know,
funny.
At
but
least she didn't say to see if you qualified for the
Right.
senior discount.
Yeah, that's right.
you know what, maybe that's what she was looking for, Susan, without having to bring that out, right?
I went to one place, they carded everybody at the table,
Yeah.
looked at me and went, eh.
Oh, I would have been offended.
I kind of
I would have
was.
been offended. Yeah.
And here's
You
the
know,
deal,
I
you
have-
don't even drink either. But
I don't. I have to tell you, I've been up to the museum, and by the way, we're at about 2 minutes.
Okay.
But one of my favorite exhibits, and I don't know if this sounds disrespectful or not, I certainly don't mean it that way, but one of my favorite exhibits is they have a case full of enemy guns and uniforms. Now, it's not as prominent as everyone else's, nor should it be. But it was amazing to me that all this stuff got brought home.
Yeah, so
Oh,
those are all
that's a
souvenirs.
great, yes.
Yep, souvenirs of war. We have people that come
Donate
through
it.
there, and they just understand why it's there, right? Because we take everything, it almost looks like it's all thrown in a cabinet, right? Because we don't want to give it like Rusty said, we don't want to give it a place of prominence, but we do want to let people know that, hey, this was important to the people that brought this back.
Sure.
We've got one Nazi artillery officer's pistol in there. It's got 5 notches carved in the handle, right? So there's some history there. You know what those notches represent. And that's something I like taking the kids and showing them and say, I know you like playing your video games and everything.
But here's some
Right,
real
here's
life.
a real,
Yes.
real life, and this is what happened. Yeah.
Wow. John Ryder, Michigan Heroes Museum. One more time, how can people get a hold of you?
They can find us at MichiganMilitaryMuseum.com or on Facebook, and they can also give us a call at 989-652-8005 with any questions they have.
And your address again?
Is 1250 Weiss Street in Frankenmuth, Michigan.
Oh my gosh, I have goosebumps. We are going to get into the Michigan, soon to be Michigan Heroes Museum in Frankenmuth. Big thank you. Will you come back on the show?
Absolutely.
And next time we want you to bring some memorabilia.
Okay.
Gosh, why can't I say that? Memorabilia.
There we
It's
go.
only coffee. So please, listeners, don't go anywhere. More with Natalie Candela. She's an awakened hypnotist.
I love it.
You're listening to Innovative Health Radio. Welcome back to Innovative Health Radio. When we last went to break, we were talking to John Ryder from Michigan Heroes Museum. He was adorable. And I loved his eyes light up when he talked about his job
Yep,
and
definitely.
what he did. And that's one of those, examples, right? Like, Susan, same with you. When you get up to go to Fountain of Youth, like, same with you, life coach, same with me, Innovative Health. Like, we can't wait to go to work.
Right.
Right? Because we
Right.
love what we do and we love
I love
work.
my days with my clients.
Yeah, we're passionate about
like
our
it.
people and we're passionate about what we do and we believe in it. So it's really exciting. So I'm really kind of excited for this next guest, right? Dr.
You're excited, and I was a little nervous
I'm
a minute ago.
nervous. If you can see me looking down, it's because I'm nervous. Because we have certified hypnotherapists from Awakened Hypnosis, Dr. Natalie Candela. Hello, gorgeous.
Hello. Thank you for
Welcome.
having me here.
And actually, it's Natasha because you're Russian, correct?
By birth, yep. But I've lived in the United States more than I lived in Russia.
Where in Russia were you born?
Moscow.
You were born in Moscow.
wow.
But you can kind of still hear that kind of Russian
A little
tone.
undertone.
You're not supposed to. I worked hard on getting rid of it.
Do you think were your parents do you speak fluent Russian?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so that's probably where all
Yeah.
of that kind of like
It's an
Spanglish.
intonation. It's
re-
not like really. It's not. It's very subtle, but and you wouldn't necessarily say, "Oh, that's Russian."
You know what
It's just a different
you know what it
intonation.
reminds me of is remember Boris and Natasha? Yes. You just got a little bit of that. And it's sexy. I'm
Good.
digging
But
it.
it's okay.
So I'm really excited because you are a certified hypnotherapist. And as I said, I'm looking down because I'm afraid you're going to play Jedi mind tricks on me.
Before you came in, she's like, "I'm not looking her in the eyes." I said, "She's not going to hypnotize
so
you right now."
powerful. And if you do, girl, let me tell you, you better make me lose some weight.
Okay.
Quit some coffee. You better be
right.
doing some good things
I'll make
for
a
me.
list. Yep.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about what you do. It is really beautiful. Tell us a little bit.
Well, what I do is a little bit different because I'm not just a traditional hypnotherapist. I actually call myself a hypnotherapist and a guide to the awakening humans. And what that means is I believe that on a planetary level, we are now going through the awakening process. So that means humans everywhere on the planet, their consciousness level is rising. And so we're becoming more aware of who we are and what our potential is.
You've seen
Totally
that, right?
agree. Totally.
We
You can
agree.
see it. You can see it everywhere. You can see it in social media. There's so many accounts that are about the awakening, about the conscious levels, and it's true. And even with
I agree.
even with our astronomical. Like even within what's happening in the
In
sky,
the universe
right now,
you can feel
that's part of it.
Okay, I love it.
Right. So there are really amazing things happening on the planet now. Some people might very strongly disagree because they'll say, well, look at all the darkness, look at all the evil that's happening. And that's actually a side effect of more light being on the planet.
Right.
So when more light floods any space really that was hidden before, hidden things come out and they start crawling out and you start seeing what was in the darkness. So there's definitely more light.
There's beautiful things out there.
Yes. And so more and more people are becoming aware that there is more to us than just this physical existence and just going to work and just, making money and
So
whatever,
true.
doing mundane things. And so as we're becoming aware of it, there are different things that are happening. Every person's path is very unique. So some people might be going through great transformations. Some people might be losing a job and finding another path in life. Some people might be questioning which way they're going and what their purpose is. Some people might be opening up to the potential of actually pursuing their dreams and doing something that they never thought of before.
That's
Okay,
right.
I'm not going to look you in the eye right now, but I'm going through all of it. Like the transformational.
I just went through all of it.
She did.
All of it, and I'm not
And
kidding.
Susan knows
Like-
too, like where you are in life, right? But you've been there. Right? You've had massive transformational times and periods in your life.
It's still changing.
Yeah,
It
we
is.
we always are. If we're not,
Yeah, it really doesn't stop.
I'm in the
doesn't.
crux of it. I'm in like something that's so, and I'm going on to year 2 of it, and I'm one of those people who don't really do drama well. I don't like a lot of chaos and limbo, and it's exactly kind of what's coming at me. So I'm trying to bob and weave, Natalie, but we'll talk because I feel like you can help me and save
well,
my
and
life.
it's like, I mean, my past year was like that. I mean, you go through a divorce. I started a new career. I had some, health things. It was just, and my kids left for college. My baby left for college. My son moved out of the house and on his own. So it was like all of this change at
Absolutely.
once. And when you are in the crux of it, now thankfully I had been through my life coach training, so I had many tools
Right.
to be in that space and get through it very gracefully, I think. But it when you're in the crux of that is it's total
weird.
chaos.
And that's what I wanted to ask you,
Absolutely.
Natalie. Like, is that a lot of what your clients are dealing with? Because I know for me personally, and I don't mind getting personal, I can physically feel the stress and the cortisol and just, the physicality of being so overwhelmed by a lot of things. Do you help people kind of walk through that?
Absolutely. So a lot of it is coaching, and so hypnosis is just one of my tools. I use a variety of different tools, and what I do with my clients really is customizable to their personal experience and
Perfect.
to what they're going through. And I'm glad you brought up the physical part because, of course, the experiences that we have are very multidimensional. What that means is we are affected by the environment, by the physical space around us. We are affected by the timing of things. So sometimes you can get the best coaching in the world, and sort of the universal timing has not just
That's
come
right.
to the right place, and it's just not going to
That's
happen.
where I'm at.
That's right.
That's where I'm at.
Sometimes, of course, their physical body and our health is a reflection of what's happening
Yes.
with
Right.
us. So, for example, I can give you a personal example as well. I don't know if you've seen me trying to cough here. 2 weeks ago, I've personally had a very dramatic change in my life happen that has also been very traumatic. And I've been able to sort of balance myself back out and ground myself.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was feeling that I was kind of restricted, choked in the way that I couldn't express
And that's why
my
you're
side
coughing.
of the story and Right.
I would get a
And
lot of sore
so-
throats when I was going through that, when I
Yep.
couldn't express myself.
And so a week later, I got this cough that now chokes me. And, but I'm able to talk to my body and kind of ask, what are you trying to tell
Yes,
me?
right.
What is happening? Understand why it's happening, and then, work with that. So I'm okay with it.
Right.
But it's kind of reflecting what I
And
was
you
feeling.
It's just
And I
it's another
understand.
it's more information for
Exactly,
you.
it's
And
just
and like in my situation, I got through a lot of the emotional stuff, and I could handle that because I'd
knew
have
it.
my tools, right? But then it came out physically.
Yes.
And I was sick for
That's what happened to
4 or
me.
5 months, like just one thing after another. And it's like, even though I had control of that emotional space and I could own it and I could let it go and I could feel it, everything had to come out physically as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You needed that family heritage insurance for all your doctor's appointments, because I know every time we're talking, you're like, I got to see the doctor today. I'm like,
Oh,
girl,
I'm not kidding. I had mono.
Yes,
I had
she did.
mono. I mean, it was complete breakdown of my entire physical being.
And it's so funny because I remember, Susan, you and I talk a lot. You and I would talk a lot because I would confide in you, because you've been there, done that. You've been through some of the similar situations that we've been through. But one thing is, I think I kind of saw in you is with Fountain of Youth, handling Botox or the things that you do cosmetically, she's always so calm. And because the anatomy and the physical body, that what's going to happen, and you're really unaffected by things that, I think you're affected by it, but I think you have a massive understanding of the body that you know how to work through it. Like me, I get so nervous when I leave. I'm like, what about this, that? And you're like, you'll be fine. Right? Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
And it's taken years, though.
Well, I've been a nurse for a long time,
Right.
35 years, I think. So a lot of it comes from that.
From that,
Yeah,
for sure.
that's right. So real quickly, we only have a couple minutes left with Natalie. Just kind of a day in the life of Natalie. When you meet with a client, you kind of, like you said, you kind of scale to what their needs are. Are some people, do they fight the hypnosis? Like me, I would probably fight it. Do some people go into it quickly? What's that, real quick?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it fighting, but there are people who are more intellectual, and I'm one of them.
I am
who
too.
are thinking through
Yes,
everything.
I am too.
So there are different things that, as a certified hypnotherapist, I have different tools to help people kind of just set it aside and relax. There are also different things that usually when people come to me, they are at least curious and they're open enough to experience it.
Okay.
And really, everybody is hypnotizable.
Oh, God, that's why I'm looking down.
I don't. And
I would
you
be
know,
in a totally
Natalie.
different environment for her to
No,
do
I
this.
love
well,
you.
first of all, let me clarify. Everything I do is with the permission of the clients. I
Yes,
would never do
absolutely.
anything to you that you
Okay,
wouldn't agree
I love
to.
you.
She can't
Can we do it on
ethically do
air?
anything without your permission. So
Can't we hypnotize her on the air?
Listen, Dr. Natalie Candela, certified hypnotherapist. How can people get a hold of you?
The best way is my website, which is awakenedhypnosis.com with a D at the end of awakened. And my email is awakenedhypnosis@gmail.com.
Oh, thank you. You were amazing.
Awesome.
Can't wait to have you back on the show.
Thank
Big
you.
thank you to my beautiful co-host. Big thank you to John Ryder, Aaron Schaefer, and you, Rusty. You're the man. That's our show. What an amazing show. What beautiful guests. It was really powerful and empowering. I love my job. Hey, listeners, go have a great day. You have been listening to Innovative Health Radio, SuperTalk 1570. Make it a great day.
The preceding program was sponsored by Mott Community College, ClintonNarrative.org, and Soul Intentions Life Coaching, LLC.